Hey man, hey, want to uh, say hey to everybody for jumping on and watching us. I'm Dante Parker, DP.
It's your boy Big Fade.
And it's your boy Jarrell. What's going on, y'all? We appreciate y'all joining tonight. Or if you guys are viewing it a little bit later on in the week, we greatly appreciate all the input that has been coming in. It's been real helpful. Hopefully, we're going to continue to bring you some hot stuff, some good topics, and just some good conversation. Obviously, me and Mr. DP gonna have some issues with that Florida State Seminole crap, the Tampa Bay Buck crap, and that Tom Brady slash Jameis Winston is the man. We're gonna have some talks about that. But I'm gonna throw this thing back to Dante to take it from here.
Yeah, once again, man. Hey, thank you guys for getting on and watching Deep Third. We really appreciate it, as Jarrell said. Before we continue, I'm going to throw this thing to Fade, and he's going to tell you about our new segment that we have. Go ahead, Fade.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Again, so here I'm gonna tell you guys about the last segment of the show, which is called Deep Thoughts. So it's the opportunity for you guys in chat who are here to leave your comments, questions, feedback, whatever, and you gonna get our deep thought on it. So let's go.
All right, man. Hey, so listen, first topic that we're going to discuss today is going to be everybody knows what's going on with the coronavirus and how there's almost everywhere you turn around they're shutting down this, they're shutting down that. So we're going to be talking about should we be playing or should we not? So this weekend that just passed, the Big Ten and Pac-12, they actually postponed fall sports. There were other schools as well and other conferences like some of the smaller ones, the MAC and some of the Ivy League schools as well. But we're going to mainly focus on that Big Five. So basically, the question that I want to throw out to the fellas is: should everybody fall in line as the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 did? I'm sorry, the Big Ten and the Pac-12. Should everybody fall in line like they did and postpone fall sports, especially football? What are your thoughts on that? Go ahead. You can go ahead, Fade. You can go first, Big Fade.
Actually, you know what? I want to do a little different. I want to hear what Mr. Jarrell has to say on this. I would like to hear Mr.
Oh,
Jarrell's
okay.
thoughts.
So I'm chilling this week, and Monday comes, and I'm just sitting there, and it's like, well, there's a possibility and the Pac-12 going to cancel seasons, and we're supposed to hear back on Tuesday. So Tuesday comes around, and sure enough, they do. And I'm thinking, like, man, like the season is doomed. I mean, everybody else is about to cancel, and then when I was on my way home from work, I hear, well, there's the ACC doctor that came out and said that there's no reason why a season can't be played. And that just sparked in my head like, wait, so you got two conferences of the Power Five, and they're talking, hey man, it's not safe for us to play. But then you got an ACC doctor, infectious disease doctor talking about some that there's no reason why we can't. I do look at it, and uh, I can see both sides of it. In my opinion, I think they should play. And it all depends on who you are. If you don't want to take the risk, then obviously, I understand that. Just as I respect somebody who would say, I don't want to go to work today because X, Y, and Z. So when I'm looking at this and I'm kind of, figuring this out, I'm seeing Joe Burrow is probably the biggest person that I can say for modern day. So Joe Burrow, from his in his junior year, had a 6 round draft rate on him, right? So he plays his senior year, goes nuts, and now he gets drafted number 1 overall. So now you're talking about exponentially more money being drafted number 1 to being in the second round. Number 2, the longevity. So the likelihood, even if he fails out of that first contract, he's still going to get a backup role somewhere else. Whereas a 6 round draft pick, you're fighting. So I look at it, and say, for some of these conferences, it's going to be about money, but it's going to also be about exposure. What I don't think, in the whole grand scheme of things, you got to understand that the SEC is very powerful as far as football is concerned, because they kind of control that whole southern side, and even over to Texas. I mean, everybody loves SEC football. It's like the epicenter for everything. They get the most draft picks, X, Y, and Z. The ACC, in my opinion, I mean, I live on the eastern side, so I see a lot of SEC sports, and I just would say that maybe they're just going to be different, obviously because they have an infectious factor on their end. But the other thing is, what they said was the schools that are in their conference are kind of all generally located in a certain area. So to me, I would say it's worth that risk. For the conferences that said no, I hope that they're set up right. Again, I understand that, in my opinion, the Pac-12, I think it was, said that what went into their thought process was fans, and knowing that are going to gather on game day, whether they have fans in person or not, right? So when I look at that and I think about that, when they say that, coupled with they don't want to overrun the hospitals, so they're almost, it's not even a liability thing. They're almost trying to say, you know what, we want to prevent a mass number of people in hospitalizations. And somehow, some way, somebody projected that out. But I thought that was kind of cool that they thought about the fans, and it's not just them thinking about the players. And then the last thing I'm going to say is, no matter which side that you're on and which way you look at it, I think everybody loses. The naysayers, the couple of conferences and all that, they don't know the longevity of this virus. On the plus side, they say, you know what, this virus is affecting X amount of people. Even when athletes do get it, it's very minimal. We haven't lost anybody yet. And the news hasn't reported. We have not lost a major professional NCAA anywhere. We haven't lost one yet as a death. But whatever side you're on, I think somebody's going to lose and somebody's going to win. The hard part for me is that no matter what happens at this point, unless another conference opts in, there's going to be no NCAA champions this year. And that's hard to stomach. If I'm a player, what am I playing for? I play for championships. So you can win your conference championship, but that's it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with those conferences. Babe, I throw this thing back to you.
So, you know, where I'm gonna be coming from, it's interesting. You feel that there isn't liability, but or that it isn't liability. I feel like it's money first, and then they don't want the liability second. So where I feel that money is deep rooted in it is that they already understand. I know that the numbers have been put out there, how much money that they lose by not having the season at all, and then how much money they can lose by not having a full season, having fans, concessions, that whole thing. So I think that's a huge part of it is with the money because the NCAA wants to make money. And then they don't want that liability on them of people getting sick, saying, "Oh, well, you guys are having games, so now I'm out here sick, or I got corona because I was out here and you guys could have canceled the season," or whatever the case may have been. So, what makes me think it's money is I saw something. Now this is for our county, but I know that this is how they all think. So there was a school, I think it was up in Tampa or something that I seen. It was on Facebook, and they're making the kids like the first week of school, they're doing virtual school or whatever, and then after that they're going to be in school, having them be on campus. And the reason they're doing that is because if they didn't have the students in school, they would have lost $23 million from the government. So, yeah, they having the kids in school. And so they care that much. Why are the colleges still having classes? To my knowledge, no classes have been canceled. The kids still could go to school and still get their education, but y'all are worried about them playing football. To me, you could take it and do some type of bubble with the college kids that want to play, that still have an opportunity to play, that want to go pro in whatever sport. Doesn't just have to be football, but in whatever sport that they could still go pro in. To me, you take it from the WWE. The WWE a couple months ago when this corona was kicked off, like they pretty much locked themselves in a bubble, if you will, and they were just training at like this performance center. I think it's up in Orlando. And so they just had the WWE stars in a performance center. Oh, they had the WWE wrestlers in a performance center, like with no fans, no nothing. And so why can't, the college sports do the same thing? Why do you have to cancel the season? And then, I mean, these people are going to do what they want to do, as far as like you have people having corona parties and stuff like that. so so you trying to like cancel the season and protect people and all of this stuff. At this point, people are going to do whatever the hell it is that they want to do when it comes to this corona, whether how serious they take it or not. So to me, I think you put it in the players' hands. Don't cancel the season. You structure it and you make it as safe as you possibly can, whether it be a bubble situation or something like that. But you put it in the player's choice to say, hey, you want to play? Either, I don't know if you want them to sign a waiver or something like that, but you put it in their hands, giving them the option to play. That's what the NBA did. They didn't force anybody. They said, hey, if you guys want to play, you can come play. And they still said guys were still getting paid if dudes decided they didn't want to go out there and risk it and stuff like that. They still had the opportunity to get paid. Well, I know college players don't have the opportunity to get paid, but let's say they have this season. If I don't want to play, I don't lose a year of eligibility. Maybe I could have that. Maybe I could still, have a year of eligibility if I don't decide to play this year, but you guys decide to have a season. And maybe you only have inter-conference games. So like you don't have the Big 12 playing the Big 10 or whatever. You just have conference games in your bubble, and you go from there. Maybe you have a championship game at the end after all your conferences games are done. But you could do something like that to try to protect the bubble, protect players, and stuff like that. But to me, let them play. Dante, on to you, sir.
Man, you guys really are Patriot fans. So listen, man. I hear what y'all saying. It sounds good. However, listen, um, I'm going to be coaching high school football down here in Florida, and to be honest, I don't think we should be playing football. But for whatever reason, you have people that's above my pay grade that you know decided and feel like people should be playing football. Where you have a lot of schools, like you have California that they cancel high school. Texas cancel, I believe, high school. Um, and so it's a lot of stuff that's going on. The thing is, yes, I guess they could play. However, we don't know what, like, nobody knows how a person's going to react. So yes, granted, nobody hasn't died. To your point, Jarrell, nobody hasn't died that's been, a significant professional player from the virus. However, you when you look at that, you're looking at people that probably have um, the best money, that can put them in the best places to survive. If we're thinking about what um, you know, most college players come from, not saying all, but a lot of them come from places where, it's a struggle. So what happens if they go on campus, they start playing, they're asymptomatic, they go home for break, they grandma house, big mama house, and they get big mama sick and she dies. Is it really worth playing? Because, and that's the other thing too. There's a lot of people that are walking around and they don't have symptoms. They're not coughing. They're not doing this. They don't have temperatures. And they're walking around. They think they fine, but those are the people that are spreading it, and they have no idea they're spreading it. And so that's the problem, and that's the issue that I have. And then the other thing too is, I get it. The kids want to play, but as a player and also as a coach, one of the things that we always say, or that you hear coaches say, is you can't allow the kids to basically make the demands and to run the team. So basically, what you're saying, Fabe, I believe, is let the kids make the decision. But years going by in the past, that would be the first thing that coaches would say. Hey, I'm going to lay the law down because I don't want the players to think that they can do this, this, and this. They have to do it. They have to go by my rules. So now, all of a sudden, now we want to say, hey, let the players make decisions, um, where they don't have the best interests in mind because they want to play. For the most part, I mean, there are some kids there are some athletes and some players that don't want to play and that opted out. But for the most part, most of the kids do want to play, and it's almost kind of one of those things. You have, like, for instance, I have two daughters. So if I would allow them, they would sit there, eat candy and junk food all day, because that's how they don't think outside of that. So if you allow players to make the decision on what they want to do, father far as, like, whether they should play or they shouldn't play, I think that's a bad way. And if you're looking at how the NCAA is going about it, anyways, there's no even leaders in the NCAA. Everybody else, it's almost like with President Trump telling, hey, the state, you just do whatever you want to do, and this is what we think, but you can kind of do it how you want to do it. And so, if they allow the kids to go ahead and make the decision to play, then if something bad happens, then they'll be like, well, hey, we told them that it was their choice to make, because they don't want to have no part in it. And so that's kind of a sign of being a sucker to me. And then the other thing too is, far as putting the kids in the bubble. So we want kids to play, and we talked about how they're doing it in the NBA, how they're doing it in what I think soccer. I'm not sure how they're doing it with baseball, but they're getting paid. These kids are not getting paid. So they go out there and they get sick. First off, we don't even know the lasting issues that may come with this disease, because it's brand new. And from what I'm hearing, it's a lot of side effects that comes after you get it, that could be lasting. So you mess around, you get it, um, and then on top of that, you don't know what's going to happen after that. Who's going to pay for that? That, nobody's going to want to be like, hey, you know what, I'll pay for it. Nah, they're going to be passing the buck. Hey, man, sign this waiver. Okay, why I got to sign a waiver if it's okay to play? What you scared of? So it's a lot of stuff, in my opinion. I'm like, man, they need to jump on board with the Big Ten and the Pac-12. Because if you really care, like you say you do, you will protect people from themselves, and that's what you do as a parent. You protect people from them. You protect your kids from themselves because they don't know better. But at the end of the day, it's all about this. They say that they are student athletes, but everybody knows if you go into a major school, a D1 school, you're a player and then you're a student, period. But that's all I got to say about it. If y'all got something to say about it or interject, go ahead.
So this is I wanted to bring this up. Want to let y'all talk. So Trevor Lawrence, obviously, big time player for Clemson, big time quarterback, top prospect. Um, so his response to kind of everything, as far as risk, he said, um, people are just as much at risk, if not more, if we don't play. Players get sent home to their own communities where social distancing is highly unlikely and medical care and expenses will be placed on the family if they were to contract COVID-19. So, Dante, I understand 100% what you're saying when you talk about that, but think about it, man. We talking about college kids. If you're not going to practice social distancing when you're on campus, you ain't going to practice social distancing if you're going home. If you're doing online classes, come on, are people really going to be isolating themselves? For the most part, for the most part, you haven't had any college team where you've had a breakout of all 80 players. You may have had one here, one there, one here, one there. So obviously what they're doing now, obviously the biggest thing I can say is they haven't had people on campus. So people are going to start coming back to campus and, things are going to get where it is. But in my opinion, I think I would rather risk it at least playing and doing something. I can contract COVID by going to the grocery store. So if I got to go to the grocery store for my mama because I'm at home, I can contract COVID there, just like I can contract it on campus. But at least I can say if I'm playing a sport, I got a chance to better myself. If I'm just at home, I'm not doing anything besides schoolwork. And schoolwork gets you a natural job, but my natural job's only going to make me but so much money. Making it to the NFL, getting a college scholarship, that's going to jump me up. And then the other thing I'm going to say is, in my opinion, I've had 3 knee surgeries. I've had shoulders injuries, fingers broken, all this other stuff playing football. Love it. Absolutely love it. On the back of my helmet, it says that there's a risk of death when I play. So I understand the longevity of we don't know what this virus is going to do, but I also don't know the my lifespan's ability to be able to be active after 3 knee surgeries, knowing that I'm going to have another one, knowing that at some point I'm going to have a knee replacement. So when I look at at the longevity, I gotta go and say I've never played professional sports in my life. So I can't sit there and say, take this risk, don't take this risk. But when I look at it, I didn't make it there, but I still took that risk. I still went to a school. I still did what I had to do. I appreciated every minute of it, but I knew the risk when I went into it and knew that, hey, one time I could be like Eric LeGrand and my neck's broken and now I'm in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. So I understood that risk when I played. That is what I think. I think it was Lattimore for South Carolina when he tore up his knee. He was going to be a first round draft pick, high draft pick, tore his knee up, never did anything. And that is the risk that you take when you play such a brutal, brutal sport or sports in general. Um, but again, that is to Fabe's point a little bit, that is an individual choice you have to make.
Hmm.
I wouldn't look down upon somebody if they didn't make that choice, because there's some people that might go home and might have the money and don't have to worry about anything when it comes to social distancing or being able to do that because they got this big old $1 million house, $500,000 house. Parents is wealthy, but you got a lot of people that's going back to some not so good situations. So I would rather them be in
So
my program. Go ahead.
nah, so okay, so I get what you're saying and I hear what you're saying. the thing about football and like you're relating the with the sticker on the back of the helmet, everybody that plays football, you already know that's going to happen. It's just like a race car driver. You know that there are going to be instances where you may get in a car accident and you can get hurt. However, you don't expect people to be running on the track as you're driving. That's not something that you expect. So with this virus, that's the same thing. Like people expect that, hey, I might tear up a knee, I might mess up a shoulder, I might even get paralyzed. I understand that. However, this virus, nobody ain't expecting that. Like that's something totally new. So you don't like you're not even thinking about like that. I mean, for the most part, most people don't even think about getting injured for the most part. But the thing about the players being home, like for the most part, nobody hasn't really canceled school. I think I heard that Harvard was doing away with, excuse me, was doing away with like a certain amount of kids. So I think if you were a freshman, you were able to come on campus, and I think if you were like taking like some kind of special classes, like a lab, then you were able to stay on campus. Everybody else had to go online. But for the most part, these D1 schools, they're not canceling class. Like everybody's still going to be going there. So there's nobody that's going to be home or sitting at home because of the COVID thing. The only thing I would say is that they would have to do a bubble, in my opinion, to keep the kids safe and to make sure that nobody else gets it. Because you already know we had problems with players, with teammates that the coaches, all right, we got a game tomorrow. Let me come around. Let me make sure you in your bed. You supposed to be asleep. And you had cats that was leaving, and coaches were checking and making sure that you were there, because you had a game the next day. And cats was leaving and coming back early in the morning. And so to think that you are going to, all right, kids are going to come back on campus and you're going to be able to keep everybody away from everybody, man, ain't nobody going to be staying in their room. You're not going to be able to keep everybody away. You may be able to keep 90% of the team, but you still going to have that 10%. You still going to have those cats that feel like they're invincible and they're going to be out. And that's the problem. How are you going to keep these kids safe? Because at the end of the day, like what are you going to do? And then on top of that, okay, so then now are they going to have people in the stands watching the game? Because that's the other reason how you make money is people coming to the games. So is it gonna be like baseball or basketball with nobody in the stands? They haven't even came out and said anything about that yet. So it's a lot of stuff. Oh, what did the Big 12 say?
Well, not all of the Big 12. So basically, I shouldn't even say Big 12, Texas. So Texas is allowing, I think, like 25%. The Texas Tech coach was just on doing an interview and said roughly around like 12,000 people or something can be at a home game. But again, that's just for Texas. So I don't know individually. And I know Jerry Jones, not to get on pro, but Jerry Jones came out and said that he's expecting to have fans at least at the Cowboys games. Obviously, they're inside of Texas. But, I mean, as a whole, there hasn't been anything that came out. And you're right. That's where big money comes from. Big money.
And that's the other thing. So now you're saying, they're saying that everything is going to be good, everything's going to be kosher. However, we still supposed to be practicing social distancing, and everybody, because you've been to a pro game, Faye's been to a game, and those seats are they tight, boy. You trying to, like, excuse me, let me get by, knocking over popcorn, spilling drink. So you think that like the ACC, the SEC, they not about to be like, nah, we gonna do 25%, nah, because most of those teams, anyways, in those states, they follow Trump. So guess what? They trying to please Trump. They ain't gonna do that. And the people that support those schools, majority of them support Trump as well. So they not listening. They listen to what Trump said as far as, hey, it's nothing serious. It's going to go away and we're going to be okay. And so that's basically what everybody's saying and think. in those areas. So they're not going to be the ones that's going to have 25%. And if they were, they should. And this the other thing too is they had 4 or 5 months to make a strategic plan on how they were going to do this. And guess what they did? Absolutely nothing. And so now we want to trust them to keep people safe and keep the players safe and believe what they doctors say, like, oh, it's okay, it's nothing wrong. I don't trust it.
That's why I say you give the players a choice. Listen, where I'm coming from too with the choice. So most of these college kids is 18, pretty much, right? As even freshmen, but they're at least 18 and older. If we can tell a 18-year-old kid that you can decide if you want to leave this country and go in the military and put your life on the line, why can't we have him give a choice to say, hey, I want to go play ball or not? He can go defend, he can go put his life on the line and potentially die tomorrow or whatever when he's out in the field defending his country. So he can have a choice whether he wants to play ball or not. Whatever sport, that's any college kid.
Or
I
work.
get you on that.
Or
Babe. I
work.
do, 100%. I get
My
what
bad,
you're saying
Dustin.
on that. Oh, go ahead, Faye. I mean, go ahead, Jarrell.
I was just going to add or work. We got 18, 19, 20, 21 year olds that are working in jobs that coronavirus is all around. So they take the risk. Let them college boys make that individual decision.
I mean, I can't argue with that. As far as the army thing, I would say that or the military, I would say that I can't even put those in the same sentence because that's one is you're defending sports. I mean, really, like, is it really life and death situation where it doesn't have to be? Like, I don't see it as the same. Like, I think that's just kind of crazy. Like, but the working thing, I can't argue with that one. That one's a good one. Um, that's a good one. But I mean, at the end of the day, I just feel that if you are if they are all about the safety as they say they are, and if they're really a student, and not just an athlete, I think that they have a I don't know. It's a tough one, man. I'm sure if I was playing, I probably would want to play. I probably wouldn't want to lose a year. But dang, I just feel like that you. I feel like when you are at a certain level in a company, it's your obligation to make sure that the people that's underneath you, um, they are in the best situation to succeed. Because you have a lot of companies that don't do that. For instance, Walmart, they don't really care. And what people be saying, man, they don't care about their workers. And that's the same thing right now and that's how I'm looking at that's how I'm looking at the employees of the NCAA. They're not caring about they're not caring about their employees, even though they don't get paid. But that's what they are. They just employees that don't get paid, and they don't really care because they raking in money for them. Just like Walmart. Walmart didn't really care about how things were getting treated and how people were getting treated until people start voicing their opinion about it, and then it's like, oh snap, we better start treating them better because all eyes are on us. So that's kind of how I feel about this situation is that they're basically coming out saying, hey, you know what? It is about the money, but it's not about the money. Period. Pay the people. If you want them to play, pay them. Then I'll be like, okay, I'm good with it. Pay them.
So to sum all this up and put it to rest, I'm gonna ask a question and no more than 3 words answer. So for the conferences that are talking about having football season in the spring, which means the winter, it's supposed to start in January, end in April. Is that smart?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
No.
Why? Why no? Why no?
Having for every sport in the fall, you're looking at, you know, football, soccer, any sport of that nature. You would be playing then in the fall. So if I'm a freshman, I'm playing meaningful football in the spring and then football again in the fall. If you're talking about player safety, that's not smart. Number one. Number two, if I have a major injury in April, I'm not going to be ready for next fall season. So now that's 2 seasons that I'm gone.
Mm.
And I come back and now I'm a junior. If I'm a sophomore and I get hurt, I come back and I'm a senior. And if I'm a
Wow.
junior, I don't come back. Or I got to get a 5th year medical. So, and then if you're a top prospect, why would you even do that? Why would you even go and risk that unless I'm not a top prospect and I got something where I need to try to improve my draft shot? But if I'm Trevor Lawrence, no, because you blow out a knee because you're playing in the spring and then you got to turn around and go straight into rookie minicamp, and then you got to go straight into a season where you're going to be expected as a number 1 pick overall to take over a team.
Mm. Interesting.
That's good. That's good. So I think that's where, in my opinion, this is where Faye was talking about allowing your players to make choices. Now, on this end, whether all right, we're going to have a season. Do you want to play? Yes or no? I agree with that. But far as saying, hey, I want you guys to come up with an answer or come up with what you guys want to do, and then you follow what they say do to play this fall. I don't like that. However, now, like you said, I agree. If you a top prospect, bruh, and they tell me some we canceling for the fall, we're gonna play in the spring. Yeah, there's no need for you to play. Now if you like a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick, yeah, you better get your butt out there and play to improve yourself. But if you already in the top, what, 50, 30? Nah, I'm not playing. I ain't doing nothing. I'm chilling. I'm working on the combine. That's what I'm doing. I'm working on the combine, so when I get there, I'm showing up and I'm showing out. That's what I'm doing.
Yep. Yep. Man, that was great.
Yeah, man. Hey, so listen, Jarrell, I know Jarrell, Big Fade, we did not have this on the docket, but Jarrell brought up his name. So I'm going to ask this question. This one here going to be crazy. So for the viewers out there, if you don't know, Jerry Jones came out of hibernation and he spoke. I think it was the first time in like 190 days he spoke. And they asked him about players kneeling. So he spoke on that. Basically, what he said is, I'm paraphrasing, that he basically said that as far as the players, he understands why they're doing it, and then he also understood why their fans were acting the way they were acting when it came to that situation. I just wanted to know, what did you guys think about Jerry Jones? Did you feel like, how did you guys feel when you heard about it? Were you like, man, I wish you would have said something earlier? I wish you didn't say nothing at all. Like, you don't have to go into real detail. I just wanted to kind of get your reaction on like what he said. So whoever wants to go first can.
I am a big Cowboys fan. Big, big, big Cowboys fan.
After being a Patriot fan, put that in there.
Hey man, look, hey man, listen. Cam Newton, baby, Cam Newton. So I've been wanting to hear what Jerry Jones has to say, because the last time that we were in this situation, he had a huge mouth when it came to it, that no cowboy was going to kneel. Now, what he did do, which he still got backlash, was they knelt before the anthem, and then when the anthem came on, everybody stood up, and he did do that with him. But I know Jerry Jones, and Jerry Jones cares about all that criticism that he hears. He doesn't care about if the Cowboys are in the news for good or bad reasons, but he cares
Very
about
true.
those things behind closed doors. I know he's good friends with Donald Trump. So I think that he was really engaging everybody before he came out and made something. I don't like that, because every other day we know that he's on his own radio show where he can spit this, that, and the third, whether Dak Prescott deserves the money, whether you're about to give him a contract, you offered him something, um, whether whatever he wants to say. He out here being Jerry, being the GM, being the owner, being the spokesperson, being the Mr. Everything. So I thought that he should have came out and said something way earlier, way earlier. But I will say, when he did speak, I thought it was going to be something along the lines of what he said last time. But this was a pleasant surprise for me, to at least hear his mind thinking, knowing that, listen, if he allows them, and they decide to kneel and he's okay with that, he's going to get some major backlash. But I will say, what I think also with Jerry Jones is he's realizing that, yes, there are minority black, um, protesters, and I guess activists, but there's also now, as of, I'm not going to say this is the only time it's happened, but now you see white people also coming on board. It's not just the minority and black community, that is in the public eye. It's also the white people along with us in the public eye. And I think that has given him cause for pause. Um, so if it was just like it was last time, where it was Colin Kaepernick and there wasn't much behind it, you could be right. But I think now there's substance behind it, um, which is making him, again, think about it. Do I know what's going to happen? No. Do I wish Jerry Jones would have said something earlier? Yes. But it doesn't matter when you say it. At the end of the day, I think he said the right thing. He played both sides of the fence right and left it open and didn't shut any doors.
Because he's a smart businessman. That is why. You know, with this, to me, when it comes to, and this isn't just Jerry Jones, this goes for all the owners, any sport, this goes to these billionaires. Are we surprised anymore? Like, I don't know what I don't know what you really expect from these guys. Only thing that moves them is their bottom line. Do I think, you know, all of them are bad men and they want these bad things? No, I don't. You know, I think they're all like, what's his name, Mr. Robert Kraft. You know, they just want the happy ending at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, oh
Oh.
snap!
Now let me stop.
Hey, that's y'all
So,
team though, man. That's your
but
team.
the only thing that moves them is their bottom line. Like you take Dan Snyder for example, who for years, right, wasn't gonna change the name, wasn't gonna do anything until something was gonna affect his bottom line. Oh, now he's gonna change things. Now he sees this, he sees that. So you know, that's how I look at it with Jerry Jones is that he understands, you know, his players are, you know, obviously probably in his ear behind the scenes and stuff like that. So he still wants to respect his players while also protecting his bottom line. So he's going to stray and toe the line as much as he possibly can. So that's really just how I see it, and that's how I feel majority of these owners are and what they're gonna do. They can't the harsh truth, they can't put themselves in our situation, in the players, their player situations. Yeah, their team is littered with black players, but they still can't put themselves in the black players' shoes every day driving home, or their families every day moving around. So, not
That's true.
surprised, not surprised with Jerry Jones. It is what it is, man. It just is what it is to me.
Um, I thought that he had 190 days, and that was the best that he could say and come up with. I
Jarrell.
I thought it was weak. I was like, bro, like you might would not said nothing. Um, Being a smart businessman, in this situation, I don't think he was, because when he came out and he said that, hey, if you are a Cowboys player and you take a knee, you're not going to be playing and you're going to get fired or whatever he said. Um, he had to know that there were other people that agree with what they thought and what they were doing was right,
He was afraid of
and
Trump. He was afraid of
and they
Trump.
were exactly. So, in my opinion, it has nothing to do with being a businessman, because if you went out and you said that, you wasn't even thinking about business, because for the most part, you think about it, most of the what NFL is what 80% black, and so you already know as black people, like that's one of the things we love. We love some football, and there's a lot of Cowboys fans that's black. I used to be one, but so he basically could have, and we don't really know, but I know a lot of people were saying that I know a lot of people, white people were saying that they wasn't watching the NFL because of what was going on, and I saw a lot of other people saying I'm not watching the NFL because nobody's agreeing with the daggone players because of the knees that they're taking. So for him to come out and just say, hey, this and that, that just let me know it's just like the NCAA. It's about the money, nothing else. He could care less. If you're a black player, he loves you on his team. If you can catch passes, you can score touchdowns. Uh, he was about to daggone tear down the NFL because of what happened with Ezekiel Elliott a couple years ago, when he was about to get suspended. So he cares, but only if you can do something for him. If you can't catch no passes. You can't hit that hole. I don't care. That's basically what I got out of it. But
That's why I
sorry,
love my Jerry. Love my Jerry.
but yeah, man, I had to throw that one in there. I know that wasn't on the docket, but I was like, man, you brought up Jerry, and I was like, we got to talk about Jerry. But all right, on to the next one. We could be real quick with this one. How do you feel about the NBA bubble? Like, what are your thoughts on it? Do you feel like that, more teams should be doing it? Do you think that the NFL should do it? And if they do it, or how do they do it? Do you feel like the college? I know we just kind of talked about college, but should college be doing it? Should high school players be doing it? Like, what are your thoughts on the bubble? Um, Whoever wants to.
I'll go.
Yeah, this is yeah.
I think the whole. I'll say just real quick, for every sport, there should be a bubble. Um, you have everybody being at home anyway, so I think you could take advantage of all of this online media platforms and everything like that. Um, I think it'd be real cool if you had all this stuff in a bubble and you used online resources. You could get other players' names out there even more, or something like that. Like they got all this nice technology that can bring awareness to certain players and stuff like that. Stuff that maybe you wouldn't catch being in person, or being live at the game or whatever, that they could show online. I think the NBA is doing a great job Um, Gosh, man, it just shows like all the stories in the NBA from Dame and of course LeBron and all of that stuff. So I think that too is great for sports in general. Just something to take us off this corona and just all this craziness and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think everybody should do their best to model the NBA in the bubble and try to work that out. I think for football, each level, the way you could do it is picking different, stadiums in different area or different states or something like that, and having the teams uh, be there or whatever. Like for pro sports, I mean it. You can have teams flying on the owner's private jet. I'm sure they fly on their private jets anyway, so you don't have them intermingling with the public. So as far as pro sports goes, I know a little that'd be a lot harder for the amateur sports of the NCAA and stuff, since that's coming out of that would come out of the NCAA or the college's pockets, and so they wouldn't be making that much back. But that's why I say maybe you just do like in conferences or something like that instead of having these different conferences play each other. But yeah, I think everybody should follow the NBA for sure.
Yeah, I so the NBA and the NHL, they've done it right. Um, in my opinion. You look, I think the NBA has been since beginning of July, I think it was, maybe
Yeah,
July 15th or something,
yeah,
where they've had a positive test, and same thing with the NHL. But I think the bubble comes at a cost, and it could be harder just with the pure numbers of the NFL. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Saints are doing a bubble during the season. Um, and then another team just followed suit, and I cannot remember who it is, where they're going to create like their own bubble at a hotel or whatnot. Now, it's not
wow,
mandatory, but it's optional, um, which is amazing. I know the NBA just talked about this week. Um, I guess once now that the playoffs have started and a lot of those teams have gotten out of there, I think you're allowed four people in the bubble, like as a bubble guest.
mm,
Um, and they have some parameters on that. So I think if the NFL could find a way to do it within your respective cities, and obviously who's playing who on each week.
yeah,
So with that, what I would say is you should be whoever contacting the hotel that the team's going to be at, and yeah, it's going to cost y'all some money, but that hotel probably needs to be shut down 48 hours before the NFL players are showing up for the game.
mm,
So I think if you can go from hotel, private plane, hotel to a game, I think that kind of gives you, again, there's nothing 100%, but I think that gives you the best chance. I love the way the NBA has done it. The NHL has done two bubbles in two different cities. So I think that they took it a little step further. Um, I know the WNBA is right down there with y'all down in Bradenton, down at IMG. I believe USA Track is down there at IMG Academy, and we haven't heard any positive tests come out of there. So, I think if you do the bubble right, I think that the bubble makes it better. Now, again, you got to have 53 guys in the NFL, that are on board with doing a bubble.
yeah,
That's hard. But at the end of the day, you you, you can't you can't overlook the success that the bubbles have had up until now. Whether it was soccer, and soccer really wasn't a bubble; it was just like a coming back championship. Um, so it wasn't necessarily a bubble where they had to 100% stay in until they got down to Florida. But either way, like I said, it's you know on when you guys are on the rise as far as numbers down in Florida, and you've heard nothing out of the NBA, not a worker test positive,
yeah.
um, nothing. So I think that's a yeah. So I like the bubble. I like what they did with it, and I thought that we got some good play. Um, the part that I'm not going to bring up as far as health and safety, but just about playing, the bubble was going to give some guys focus, man,
Yeah.
because you don't have family, you don't have, my homeboys, I don't have my kids, I don't have that distraction. Like I'm focused on football. You saw the way Dame Lillard. I mean, yeah, he's a beast, but you saw the way he just monstered that. The Suns went undefeated in the bubble, and they were by half garbage during the season.
Yeah.
Booker Booker went bananas.
Devin Booker.
But you look at stuff like that and you say, you know what? There was nothing else for them to do than basketball.
Yeah.
There was no other distraction. So I think that definitely helped. So that's that's my take, Dante. I'll let you finish it off.
Um, so my thoughts is I this is why everybody says that the NBA has the best league. They have the best commissioner than any other league. They, to be honest, I mean, so, and this is the sad thing. They were in the middle of their season when the coronavirus hit. All these other leagues were out of their season. The only thing they were basically worried about trying to get back to, maybe preparing. But the NBA was able to say, you know what, all right, we're in our season. What can we do to make sure that we can continue on playing so that people can, see the playoffs, whatever the case may be. And they did it. NFL, they basically well, the Super Bowl was played in February. It was still kind of like wavery. Not a lot of people know what was going on. And now we're up to here, and we still have no idea what the NFL is going to do. I know my dad had season tickets for the Bucks. They had called him up like, "Hey, do you want your season tickets this year? If not, we will put it towards next year, or we can give you a refund." So it's like, whoa, what's going on? I don't know, you know. But they definitely did it right, and it's crazy, like I said, to see how they were able to do what they're doing, and everybody else is struggling, and they had all this time to try to figure out something. That just shows you how well and how good the leadership works over there in the NBA. I think that it's definitely good. It's smart how they did it. My only thing is with the bubble with other sports, man, it's going to be hard. Like I think at the high school level, there's no way that you can do it because you don't even come close to that money that the NBA has. The NBA, what I want to say, they test every other day or whatever they do, and they spent so much money to make sure that everybody that stays in the bubble will not come in contact by setting up all of these rules and regulations that what they can and can't do, and then they pumping all this money into it. Uh, Football, I'm like, man, okay, so basketball, you have what, 12 to 15 players on the team. NFL, you got 53. So, like, there's no way. Like, you would have to take over almost like a whole city to try to get everybody in there to make sure that nobody is getting sick. And then on top of that, I think about like far as how like where you gonna play the games at. Like okay, you can take up a whole city, but what in that city? Like I think about Bradenton. Well, we probably have what like football fields, like actual football fields. I don't know, maybe I don't know. We definitely got more than 30. So you would definitely have to take up a whole city and to say, all right, there ain't nobody coming in this city, and to keep everybody safe, and you'll be basically playing at these cities or these stadiums. However, you have some stadiums that are not up to par, and you have some that are the best. And then so that would be the issue on who plays where, when you playing, and all that stuff to make sure that you're not playing on Tuesday and then you have somebody that's playing on Wednesday, and then all that stuff. So that would be the hardest thing to kind of figure out. But I think if if leagues want to make sure that the players stay safe and that they don't come in contact with the coronavirus, I think they would have to make a bubble. But that's all I got.
It's time for the favorite
All right.
segment.
All right, guys. Here is the last segment of the show called Deep Thoughts. This part of the show is about you guys, the viewers. So put your comments, put your questions, and let's go. So here's some things that I've seen from AEC. That's me. Said, "What's up, guys?" He said some important topics that athletes should listen to and watch at least once. Good convo, guys. Keep up the good work. Deep third. Thank you, AEC. That's me. We appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Miss Sylvia, for stopping in. Thank you, Horace, for stopping in. We had a new viewer, Ruksak. Rusik. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but thank you for stopping in.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So anybody got anything? Any questions, comments? Anything for the fellas? Do you fellas have any last words for us?
Um, Man, I don't know, man. Let me see. Let's see. So will there be college football and NFL football this year? And if so, will it continue and not get interrupted and get pushed back?
To me, depends on how they plan to start it. If they do it in a bubble, I don't think it, I think that it happens. It doesn't pause or stop or anything. If they don't do a bubble, yeah, I think it gets interrupted.
Yeah, the for the college, it's gonna be different. But I know the ACC and the SEC for sure, um, and I'm probably sure the Big 12. I think that they built in bye weeks, multiple bye weeks, to foreshadow if something does happen. Um, I know they were talking about the schedules and everything like that when it came out, and that's why they did the schedule the way that they did, was just so that they could kind of work things out. I think the SEC on one part pushed theirs back, um, because again we don't know what's going to happen in the fall, and I think that's the most nerve wracking thing. NFL, I think they're going to push through somehow and figure out how to get enough in. Um, because if you're talking about one league that loves their money, that is the NFL. And I think they're going to find a way to do it, some way, somehow, even if it goes into March. They're going to find a way to get a season completed and get something out of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Thank you, JoJo. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Ashley. Ashley said, "Great topics and great job, guys."
Appreciate it.
Hey, man, she's a whale of a time.
Yeah.
Horace makes a good point. Plus, no organization in sports wants to refund money they've already made.
Oh,
True that. Very true. Um, was you gonna say something, Dante? That was my bad, Coach.
Oh no, you straight, man. Nah, I think I was just gonna say that I think that if If they do have a season and they do start, I think it will get interrupted. Um, it's just because people. I mean, I know definitely down this way, like people are not really taking it seriously, and I think especially with the when it comes to the college, once everybody get back on campus, and to go back to like what we were talking about then, far as people being home and being around people. Usually, when you at home and you hanging around people, it's pretty much like the same people usually. But when you get on campus, man, you around people from all different places, all different walks of life, and it's not just like five people here. You around a bunch of people, and so I just feel like once school starts, and I think they're just gonna shoot up because once you get there, man, you wilding. You ain't just gonna be chilling in the dorm room, and I think that's what's gonna get shut down. And then when it comes to the NFL, I don't know, man. Now that's a tough one. I'm interested to see what's gonna happen. But for the college, I think it's gonna get shut down quick.
True that. All right, guys. That's where we gonna end the show for this week. So thank you all again for showing up. Don't forget to hit that like button on the channel. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to subscribe. Do all of that stuff. Also, if you haven't done so already, please go like our Facebook page and share it there. You guys can also get updates from us there. Dante Jarrell, any last words before we bounce out?
Man, we got the NBA playoffs starting next week. We gonna have nice little topic on Sunday.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, you all. Deep third out.